Good day everyone, and I welcome you all to class. In today's class, we are going to be learning how to make a pleated turban design. How to make a pleated turban with a cone design. So the turban design is divided into two parts. We have the pleated part and the base part. So for the pleated part, we are going to be cutting out 24 inches in length. That is the head circumference. An adult head circumference usually range from 22 to 24. So I cut out 24 inches in length, and the width is also 24 inches. Please, when you are cutting your turban, always cut the length, the head circumference along the stretchy parts. So the next thing I'll be doing is I'm going to fold it like this. I'm going to fold it like 1 inch inside and sew it on my sewing machine, because we are going to take a pleat. So let me go and do this one now. Let me fold it. Once I fold it like 1 inch, I'm going to run a stitch on it, and I'll come and show you the next thing to do. So this is it. The next thing, I'm going to take a pleat again. I'll make sure that the next pleat I'm going to take will be covering the seam, the stitches. It's going to be covering. So I'll take a pleat again like this. You can use your pin to hold it. I hope you are seeing it. Make sure that the next pleat is covering the first stitch. So this is it. This is the first pleat. This is the second one. I'm going to pick the third one again. I'll make sure that it's covering the stitch. I'll make sure that the next pleat I take is going to cover the stitch, and I'll be showing you on my sewing machine. So here I am on the sewing machine. You can see I've picked the pleat and I'm using it to cover the stitch. Then I'm going to sew it all the way down. You can see the way I'm using my pleat to cover the stitch, and it's forming the pleats. It takes a lot of patience for you to achieve the results. Okay, so at the end of the pleat, this is what I have. Can you see it? Now we want to make the design on the pleated parts. We are going to be making a cone design, and for us to make that, we have to first measure the part where we want to attach the cone design. So I'm taking it from the middle, so I'm going to measure it like this from here. I have 4 inches, so I'm going to add extra 2 inches, that is 6. So if you measure your own and your own is 6 inches, you add extra 2 inches, which will give you 8. So this is the point where I measure from here to here, and I'll pick it from this point again. I will measure like this. Here I have 5 inches. I will add extra 2 inches to it. That will give me what? That will give me 7. That will give me 7. So I'll be cutting 7 inches in 6 places because I want to cut the longest part. So at the end of the day, if the design is too long, we are going to cut it off. So I'll be cutting 7 inches of our cone design, and this is how I'll be cutting it. This is my fabric. I'm using a scuba fabric. I'm going to fold it like this and measure 2.5 inches at this point. So this is my 2.5 inches. At this point here, from this point rather, I will measure 7 inches. Then I chalk it down. Oh, let me reduce it to 6 inches. I'll measure 6 inches and chalk it down. Can you see? Then from the point I measure 2.5, I'm going to slant it down to the 6 inches like this. Then I cut it off. And this is what I have. You can see it. It brings us a triangle shape. So this is what I will do for the other pieces. It now depends on it depends on how many cone design you want to attach on your pleated design. As for me, I'm using either 5 or 6. So once I'm done with the first one, I'm going to cut out the other ones. Then I'm going to fold it into 2 like this and run a stitch. These are my other cones. I'll be folding everything into 2 like this. Then I'll run a stitch on it and then turn it inside out. So I'll be right back to show you the next step. So I'm done turning it inside out, and I'll be arranging it on my dummy head to see how it looks like. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to pick the first one. I'll place it like this. I'll place it like this. But before then, I'm going to apply my gum on this part. Then I'll stick it to it like this. Then pick the second one. Apply my gum. I'll put it like this. I'll pick the third one. Apply my gum. I'll put it like this. Then what I did to this side, I'll also do it to this side. Hope you understand. What I did to this part here, I'll also do it to this one. So all together, I'll be having 5 cones of design on my pleated part, and that's what I'll be doing now. So as I'm doing it, I'll be showing you. This is the second part of my turban that I'm going to be attaching to the pleats. I cut out 24 inches in length and 11 inches in width. So I'm going to pick up my pleats and join it together with this part. So I'll make sure that the right part of my pleat, the right part of my pleat is facing the right side of the body. Then I'll place it like this. and run a stitch all the way down with half an inch, and that is what I'll be doing right now. So this is it. After joining it together, the next thing is I'll be folding it like this, and I'm going to sew it from here with half an inch from here. And don't forget, you go up by 1 inch here. When you get to this place, you curve your hand. So if you run a stitch from here, you go straight down. When you get to this point, at the point of the 1 inch, you curve your hand and sew it down. You should be familiar with the way I'm doing my turban. So I will go ahead to my sewing machine and do that, and be right back to show you the next step. So right now I'll be running a loose stitch on my turban cap, but I'm going to start at this point. Initially I should start at this point, but I discovered that while I was sewing on my sewing machine could not sew this place because it's too puffy. So that's why I had to run my stitch from this part. So I've gone ahead to run the stitch, and I turn it inside out, and finally we've made our turban. The next thing is to start arranging our design on the turban. So like I said earlier, I'm going to pick it one after the other. After applying your gum, you begin to arrange. So this is what I'll be doing. I will arrange it and cut off the excess. So I started applying the trimming on the rough edges. Make sure that your trimming is closing the rough edges. And that is what I did. So at this point, you can choose to embellish it the way you want. So as you can see, I want to add trimmings at the I raise the cone up and put my trimmings there. So I'm going to be using my gum on the trimmings and paste it on the turban all the way down. And after that, I'll be adding some pearls to the cone design. I'll be adding some pearls to this part. So once I'm done, I will show you the end result of how it looks like. But you can decide to be creative on your own. Just make sure that what you are doing and the embellishment is very beautiful.